Good morning. Welcome to Dornbush download number 169. Morning, Dan.
How are you going, Michael?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Good. How's 2018 treating you thus far?
Thus far, very good. Actually, I've been a well-behaved boy, front up to work every day.
Oh.
What more could the boss want?
Absolutely. We're only 3 days in, of course, too. But,
Right.
but yeah, no. So happy New Year to one and all out there. Markets actually had a pretty good 2017 in the end. Dan,
Up 7.5%. Right?
It really was quite a strong, particularly October. I think was up about 4% in the end. But I think November, December both put on upward of 1.5%. So 2017, finished off pretty well. I think the net total return index was about 11%. So when you throw dividends back in, so all in all, good return for markets. But what are we expecting for 18? Do you think?
Well, the banks were a bit dismal at the end of 17, weren't they? So I think that we could see some positiveness from the banks, Michael. You know, America's going to put up interest rates, aren't they? Our banks get a lot of funding from international markets, so I think some out of cycle rate rises will happen. Even if there is a Royal Commission, I don't think that'll stop them. Whether they actually add on a bit of extra margin just for the banks, you just don't know, do you? But
they've almost taken the onus off the RBA and do it themselves, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the bottom line and doing it themselves. I think the other area is going to be lithium. It's not really a dirty word, is it? Because of the electric vehicles. But, in China, they're now giving tax breaks for electric vehicles. There was an article out where the Chinese government are shutting down some 553 different car models because they don't meet emission standards from January the 1st. So there's, I think, some real pressure there on cleaner vehicles. And 1.6 billion people buying cars or thereabouts.
Absolutely, yeah.
Downside with those stocks is it's a growth stock. There's no dividends in there. But perhaps, every portfolio should have a little bit of it in there just to go with that growth.
Yeah, there's some really strong themes there, aren't there? I mean, and I think that the French and the Germans are on board as well, aren't they? Saying they're not going to produce, combustion vehicles after, I think it was 2030 or something like that, or 2040.
In there as well.
Yeah, so no, there are some really strong themes there, and I guess too, lithium's, I guess the word that comes immediately to mind, but companies that mine cobalt, copper,
rare earths,
graphite and graphene. There's a myriad of other different types of base metals that go into those things.
And on copper, that Oz Minerals I think is worth having a look at. They're funding in the opening of another mine from cash. It costs a bit to do it, but they're doing it from cash, so that'll increase their production accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. No, completely debt free. Oz Minerals, as you say, got a nice bank of cash there.
600 million or something.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? 7-8 years ago, they were on the verge of, of going out the back door.
Was it Oxiana then?
Oxiana, Zinifex.
Scary,
jeez, those were the days.
I think we've just made a few viewers cringe, I reckon.
Yeah, the Oxiana word wouldn't instill a great deal of confidence in a lot of people out there. But no, certainly Oz Minerals really in a bit of a purple patch at the moment.
Yes.
And you're right too. I think even back to banks, they've been pretty subdued, haven't they, the last 12 months?
Yeah.
And rightly so too. They've made a few big blues here and there, but certainly interest rate cycles coming back into a more positive vogue. I think the prediction is US up 3 times, I think, this year. It might even be 4, and the expectation is I think the RBA is going to kick our interest rates up a couple of times as well.
That'll be interesting, won't it, Michael? I'd probably go and predict that we won't see one in 2018.
Okay,
Is our economy going to power along that much? Like, wages are still low, aren't they? They've got to come up. Inflation's got to come up. It's still low, so there's a few things going against it. Yeah,
very true, actually. Yeah, inflation's really been very subdued for a good couple of years now, and you're right, particularly wage growth as well. So Reserve Bank's probably got a few things to consider this year. You know, the Aussie dollar's still a little bit high, so you know, again, they're probably not too keen to raise rates overly quickly, just for the time being.
And that's right too, Michael, isn't it? If US rates go up and money flows out of Australia, that should drop our exchange rate. Subsequently, better for our exporters. So,
Absolutely.
And maybe that's what we need.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Things ticking along.
No, for sure.
How about your sectors, Michael? What do you think about?
Yeah, for me, Dan, I think, and I know you've spoken about this one before, but cybersecurity is going to continue to be a big area this year. You know, we saw last year Uber, of course, had 50 odd million people's details that were sprayed across the internet. And I think Yahoo earlier on in the year was another big one as well. Yeah. So, you know, the advent of technology, you know, we've got cryptocurrency, that's all we're hearing about at the moment.
Yep.
You know, there's a huge move to online business these days. So cybersecurity for mine's the area.
Yep.
You know, the better shares, HACK, H-A-C-K, exchange traded fund. It's certainly seemingly a good place to have a look at getting some exposure to that sector without actually having to pick, you know, specific companies.
Not that we have all that many in Australia anyway, do we?
No, I was just reading this morning actually that APRA has come out and said, look, thus far there really hasn't been any great cyber attack, but it's coming, and they're basically getting themselves ramped up. Yeah. I know the Eurozone too is implementing, I just can't think of it now, some sort of general data protection regulation that comes out in May, where companies need to comply with that broad legislation. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So cybersecurity for mine
is going to be... The other part of that too is artificial intelligence, you know, and there's that other exchange-traded fund, Robo. I'm just looking at a smaller company too called BrainChip.
Yes,
you know? So there's a lot of that sort of thing happening as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, robotics technology. It's just going to be enormous.
Well, they're operating on us now, Michael, aren't they? You know? So
absolutely.
Certainly, there's a surgeon hanging around, but it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah,
where it's going.
Absolutely, and I know we spoke about a company called FastBrick, which was a robotic bricklaying device or machine. So the applications are endless, and of course there's all sorts of scary statistics out there about, you know, whose jobs are going to be replaced by robots. So it's a real watch this space.
When they look back through history, it hasn't really happened. Like the advent of the vehicle didn't get rid of a whole lot of people out of work, did it? It just changed things around it.
Just changes the nature of the employment that they're in, I suppose, and the industries that prosper and continue to go out and employ. So there's always opportunity, isn't there? That's for sure.
Yeah,
so,
well, there's entrepreneurs, isn't there, Michael? So there's always opportunities. Yeah.
Absolutely. But no, certainly 2018 shaping up, hopefully, to be another good year for markets. So we'll look forward to catching you next week.
Cheers.